Okay, let us start with the session. In the previous session, we have gone through what you mean by the agreement or the contract, how the contract can be placed, how the contract can be managed, what are the legal agreements and what are the terms and terminologies need to be maintained in that particular agreement. Okay, so that we have discussed. Okay, in that terms and terminologies, we have gone through the definition, what is the form of that agreement, okay, then what needs to be maintained by the both the parties, okay, what is the requirement specification, everything we have gone through. Okay, so now today we will start up with the next part of the same contract management, that is stages in contract placement. Okay, there are different type of stages which needs to be maintained while putting sign and while putting an agreement to that particular contract. So what are those steps? We will take up the concepts for the same. So here the stages in contract placement. So we have mentioned four type of what you can say the stages. The first stage is the evaluation plan. Okay, evaluation plan. Second stage is invitation to tender. Third one is for evaluation of proposals. Okay, then fourth one is requirement analysis. So here the first one, so that is nothing but your requirement analysis. Okay, it starts with the requirement analysis. So there it has become something. Okay, so the first it starts with the requirement analysis, then the evaluation of the plan, then the third one is invitation to tender and evaluation of proposals. So what is the requirement analysis first? So requirement analysis is something before the potential suppliers can approach, you need to have a clear set of requirements, and users and the managers need to look carefully at resulting the requirements document to ensure that the accurately reflects their needs. So here basically the potential suppliers approached you. Before the suppliers approached you, you should be very firm in case of your requirement specification or in the requirement document. In that requirement document, you need to keenly observe what is required. Is this feasible from you or not financially, or it can be any kind of feasibility for that particular product, and in that case the user and their manager has to discuss with each other. So what is to be done, what is the aim of that particular product, and what is the objective you can put, and which technology is to be used, how much amount is to invest, who are all your stakeholders, okay, what much amount you are going to get as a benefit or a profit out of it. So everything, so you need to discuss in case of your requirement analysis. That is the requirement analysis. In that case, you are going to check each and every phase and each and every this thing before you start developing that product. Okay, so you should be very firm and you should be very sure about what you are putting as a part of your requirement analysis. This is the very first stage in case of what you can say the contract management. Okay, so here we have mentioned the terms and terminologies or the sections of your requirement document. So based on that particular requirement document, based on the analysis of the situation, on based on the types of the contract, it may differ. These are the some common scenarios which needs to be discussed as a part of your requirement document. So first one is introduction to your product, to your project. It can be a software project or it can be any kind of what you can say any product. If you are wanted to introduce to your what you can say to the market or something, or your competitor, so he has developed one product, so along as a part of competition you are developing another project or something. So as a part of your this thing, you are going to give a brief introduction about your product. Then it comes in case of your requirement document, the existing system and the current environment or the current system or something. So or else you can say it as existing system or the proposed system what you are wanted to develop that particular system. So existing system is, so you are going to analyze which technology they have used, how much amount they have invested in that, what is the amount they have invested for, and what is the time duration they have taken, and what is the market reply for that particular, or the response, you can say it as customer response for that particular product or the system or any kind of project or something what you wanted to develop. So then the current environment or the proposed system. So what is the current environment? And that existing system has some problem, it has faced some problem or difficulties. So with the current existing or the current situation or the current environment, whether it is feasible to develop that product or not, so that you need to think over that product. So that comes under the existing system and the current environment. Third comes customer future strategy or plans. See, whenever you are submitting your proposal, whenever you are giving your requirement to the supplier or something, you should be very firm what is the final objective, what is the aim you wanted to, goal you wanted to approach. So here you should be very firm. So while developing only you should not change your goal, while developing you cannot change your objective or something. You should be very firm in your objectives, then only you start with the development of that product, and you have to have a future enhancement of that project. Okay, this can be done. So now in this current situation, in current environment, it is not possible to develop. Then if that environment is provided, then what could be the future enhancement for that particular product or some that thing. In that way you have to do the planning for your product. Then it comes system requirement. There are two types, one is mandatory and one is desirable system requirements, we will discuss. Then deadlines to be given to that, then additional information from the potential suppliers. Even you have think for that particular product in one way, your supplier may have some other vision regarding or some other information from the market regarding that particular product. In that case you have to take the additional information from the suppliers also. If we are planning for this particular product, what would be the output and what would be the result and what would be the customer response in that case if you are going to develop, so that you are going to take the additional information from the suppliers. Okay, the first one is introduction to your product, then existing system, what is the currently using this used system and what is the environment we are developing it with. Then customer future strategy, he should be very firm about his objective and goals before he starts developing. The system requirements, what is required for that you need to mention here in this system requirements. So we have mentioned mandatory and desirable, and even it can be in the form of software, it can be in the form of any kind of a service, or it can be in the form of hardware or something. There might be a different type of versions for this system requirement. Then deadlines, at what particular time you need to complete that product, the project. Then the information from your suppliers. So this is what you can say. We have briefed taken some of the important concepts and we have briefed over here. So based on the agreement and based on the contract, it may vary. So in the requirements, define carefully the functions of the new applications and all necessary inputs and outputs. Okay, this is what we have discussed just now. So you can observe here the requirements defined carefully. What is the user requirement that needs to be defined very carefully, and of the new application and the necessary inputs and outputs. So you are expecting some kind of output for a particular input. So this is the user given as an input, then you are expecting some similar kind of output what you have expected or something. In that case, suppose if you go to ATM machine, you insert a card, then you put your login credentials, then you are going to get the amount if you click on money withdrawal or something. If you wanted to take the mini statement printout or something, then you would have click on mini statement. So that is how, based on some input, there are some expected output. So that you need to clearly mention what you are expecting from that new software for that particular input and what would be the output you are getting for that. So that is the requirement analysis and the necessary inputs and outputs. Also state any standards and existing software. See, suppose for example, the customer is expecting some kind of a quality product from your this thing. So it can be anything. It can be a lubricant, or it can be any kind of what you can say, the any hardware material. It can be a square parts of your car. It can be any kind of material from the engine. So it can be a mobile phone, it can be a laptop. The customer is, based on his expectation, a customer is wanted to have some kind of standards in that. Yeah, some listeners or some of the what you can say, the customers in mobile phone, for example, some of the customers are there, they wanted the sound quality is to be very good. Okay, in some of the customers they are should be very happy to have quality pictures. Okay, they are more concentrated on the quality of picture. So like that, the quality of picture will be in different audience, and the quality of your sound is in different, what you can say, the customers or the audience, or based on that they do have to have some kind of a standards. They are expecting some kind of a standards that need to be mentioned in case of your requirement analysis well in advance. Because if you are not going to mention it in an agreement, so they may develop any kind of a software you have not mentioned in a agreement, and you have not stick to that particular standard. So you just have given the requirement and they have developed, you have not stick to any standard or something. That also has to be mentioned in case of your standards of the requirement analysis. Then existing software. In the existing software means if one product is already there in the market, then nobody will buy your product if it has a same quality or same price or something. If your quality is good and price is less, then there must be some differentiation between the existing product and the proposed system or the new application what you are going to develop. In that case, if it differs from the existing system, then only it will be what customer will be happy to take that product. So in that case, what is the existing software and what are the standards the customer are expecting, that also you can mention in case of your requirement analysis. Then it comes concerns in case of response time, reliability, usability, then maintainability of the new system. This every this thing it will take into consideration. See, suppose for example, if you gave if you go to what you can say, the ATM machine, and you give the login credentials, so then you are wanted to withdraw money from that ATM machine. Yes, it says you have inserted the card, and it is just saying the processing. If it take 1 hour to disperse your money, means it is not that so good quality of that particular product. Then reliability, then usability, it should be very user friendly to use that particular product, then only customer will get attracted to that particular product. Maintainability, so this is some of these systems what you can say, so you can use those products for 6 months for very what you can say interestedly, then after that it may face some problem oftenly, and you are investing money in repairing that or something. So maintainability has to be there for that particular product. So if you put some money for the repair purpose, then it has to have that position to occur. Okay, so in that case the concerns, the response time, reliability, usability, the maintainability of the new system. So then it comes previously in the previous slide we had discussed the mandatory requirements and the desirable requirements. If a proposal does not meet this requirement, this means the mandatory requirement, then the proposal is to be immediately rejected. Mandatory requirement means it is a very basic requirement of that particular product. Desirable means okay, so if you have come up with some other solution for that, so this is my requirement, okay, for that not exactly what I wanted in that form, but you come up with some other form as a part of solution for that requirement, then it can be acceptable, no problem. Okay, I am getting the solution out of it, so it is working fine, I don't have any problem. Such kind of things can be considered as your desirable requirements. But the mandatory requirements means they must have to satisfy those requirements. Until unless they satisfy those requirements, that is can be the project or the proposal can be immediately rejected. So suppose what is the aim of basic aim of your ATM machine is you wanted to withdraw the money from it. The rest things they are just going to give the information regarding your account or something, or the publicity of that particular bank or something. But what is the basic main mandatory what you can say the requirement is you wanted to get the money from that ATM machine. It has to disperse the money for you people, okay, if it is authenticated account. So then desirable means there are different type of options, okay, that is acceptable, no problem. But what is the mandatory? So it has to make sure that you are going to achieve that particular requirement. So that is the basic difference between your mandatory requirements and the desirable requirements. Okay, this is the first phase, first stage of your contract management. So then it comes the second phase with the evaluation plan. Okay, so in the evaluation plan, so we have gone through all the kind of requirements and what are the type of requirements you need to process, what is the mandatory, what is desirable, what you need to be mentioned in that requirement. Okay, then after completion of the complete or the detailed analysis of your requirement analysis, then we can go for the evaluation plan. So what comes in this evaluation plan? So evaluation plan with the list of requirements, okay, that we have already completed, then we need to move, we need to plan of how the proposal are to be evaluated. The ways of checking the mandatory requirements are met need to be identified, then how desirable requirements can be evaluated, compare the quality and price factors. Yes, of course. Just now we discussed the mandatory requirement and the desirable requirements. Mandatory requirements means it has to be fulfilled by the supplier at any cost. Desirable means he can come up with some other solution for your requirement if it is not possible from him to solve that particular requirement or to get the solution for that particular requirement. He comes up with some of the other solution which you have not listed for. Okay, in that case you are going to evaluate that up to what extent you can get the output from that, what is the quality of result it is producing, what is the cost he is taking for that alternate solution or something. That desirable requirement needs to be evaluated in that sense. Then compare the quality and price factors. So these are the, what you can say, they are the quality and the price factors, they are dependent on each other. Obviously if quality is good, if quality is high, obviously price will be high, okay, and if the quality is low and if they compromises in quality or something, you can get it for the less price. So you should not always you have to compare to that. If you are investing it for the long term and you are foresighted regarding that particular project, you will get the output best project or something. You wanted to produce a good quality product or something. In that case, please don't compromise with the price. You can go for the quality of that particular product. So if you are doing it for the short term this thing or to satisfy a customer or something, in that case you can compromise with the price in that case. Okay, so they are mutually dependent on each other. So quality factor and this thing. So compare the quality and the price factor means there are several products available in the market for similar kind. So in that case you have to go for the quality and what type of quality they are giving, and then what is the price they are quoting for that particular product, that you need to compare in the evaluation plan. This is the second phase of your contract management. Then it comes invitation to tender. Yes, okay, I am done with my requirement analysis, then I have evaluated the plan, then I will call for the tender, I will give the invitation to the tender process. What is this for? So the requirement document and the evaluation plan, it is now possible to issue the invitation to a tender to prospective suppliers. Yes, of course, yesterday we had discussed, if there is an invitation, from a user or the customer or something, okay, so then it is not mean that the contract is been given to that particular person. We'll go to this particular line, you will understand it very better. For a contract to exist, there must be an offer from one side which is accepted by the other side. So here the client or the supplier, both are acting as in different two parties. So they must be agreed to their what the contract they have signed for. So here there must be an offer from one side and there must be an accepted from the another side, either it or the vice versa in both the parties. Okay, then it could be an possible to get a contract or to agreement for that particular process. This invitation to tender. Okay, so now we are inviting a tender for that. This invitation to a tender is not an offer itself. It is not that, okay, I have already approved and I have agreed to your considerations and I am giving that contract to you. It is not like that. Invitation means they have given an offer. You have to go and bid your what you can say, the term. Then only if it is feasible after all the evaluation of the tender process or something, then the contract will be placed to some of the suppliers. So here invitation to a tender is not an offer itself, but an invitation of prospective suppliers to make an offer. That is what. Okay. Then in case of your invitation tender, the technical proposal are requested from potential suppliers. Why do not necessarily quote any prices? Okay, so whenever you are putting an invitation to that particular tender, so usually the suppliers won't put the price. See, for example, there are several lot many suppliers for the same product in the market. So first they will analyze what amount he is bidding for that, what is the quality he is providing. So they suppliers are wanted to analyze in that. So in that case some proposal can be dismissed as not meeting the mandatory requirements. This also can be happen, and the customer and the supplier has to meet to each other, and they need to conduct a meeting. What is the requirements and what the supplier can supply, how much amount he is quoting. So there needs to be have some one meeting. So in that some discussion will happen, and that discussion could result in a MOA, that is memorandum of agreement, okay, with each prospective supplier. This is MOA is an acceptance by the customer that proposed solution offered the supplier satisfaction meets the customer requirements. So after the discussion, okay, so there are several what you can say, the suppliers in the market. Okay, after agree to one of the vendor or one of the supplier, I am agreed to give the contract to that particular vendor. In that case, MOA has to be occur. MOA means you have agreed, both the parties have agreed to that, and they are going to sign on that MOA, MOU, you can say it as. In that, both the parties will be accepted, saying that what is the requirement will be accepted by your supplier, and what is the amount quoted, what is the time invested, what is the benefit or something with the customer supplier side. This thing will be accepted by your customer. Then tenders are then invited, and the suppliers who have signed that individual MOA, then tender would be incorporated MOA would be concerned, and the financial terms and the potential contract can be placed over. So here this is how the invitation of a tender can be processed. Then several tenders or several suppliers have given the proposal for that tender. Okay, then simply without having analyzation or without having any kind of idea or without having any market related aspects, you could not place or you should not place that contract to that particular person. So I must say that, okay, this is a very important stage in case of your placing the contract. Okay, so evaluation of proposals. Suppose for example, I got a tender invitation from supplier has bid some, what you can say, he has taken that invitation, he has come for that particular tender, then he has give a proposal for that. Okay, this is my offers, everything he will mention clearly in that. First, before you put an MOU or before you signed an MOA with that particular what you can say, the vendor or the supplier, so you have to evaluate that proposal very keenly. So in that we have mentioned some of the processes how to evaluate that proposal. Okay, the first one is scrutiny of proposal documents, interviewing suppliers representatives, okay, demonstrations, site visits, then practical test. Okay, what is this scrutiny for proposal documents? See, suppose for example, if someone is selling his plot, okay, there for example we will take there is an 30-40 plot is there, and some party wanted to sell that particular plot. Okay, so he has quoted some amount. Okay, so you should not blindly believe him. So you have to analyze, you have to scrutinize that the document, whether it is proper or not, it belongs to him only or not, whether what amount he is quoting, whether it is feasible and it is appropriate or not for that particular area, because based on the area the valuation will be done. So you have to decide whether it is appropriate or not, it belongs to him only or not. So you have to do the complete scrutiny of the documents before you sign on that particular agreement or the memorandum. So here the proposal documents provided by the supplier can be scrutinized to see they contain features of satisfying the original requirements. And sometimes what happens, so in case of your scrutiny of proposal documents, he has come up with the proposal. In that, what are your requirements and what he has mentioned in the proposed system or that proposed value. In that case, it may be differ. So you have to analyze. Okay, you have given order for 100 laptop or 100 systems or something. Then you have to of Dell or something, of HP, anything. Keenly you have to observe what is the quantity, what is the quality, what is the configuration, and what is the time taken, what is the amount you have taken. So everything, yeah, are matching with your requirement what you have put or not. That you have to analyze that particular proposal document. That is nothing but scrutiny of a proposal documents. Okay. Then another way of evaluation of a processing is interviewing the supplier's representatives. See, suppose if you buy one product, if you if you want to buy a product, in that case the different customer representative or the different suppliers representative will be there. They will come to you and represent their product information, and they will do the marketing for that particular product. You wanted to, you can even interview that representative. So what are their goal, what is the software is for, and what is the advantage and disadvantages is for, what kind of environment is required for that particular product, everything. So you can analyze and then you can take the interview for that supplier's representative who is going to represent that product and is going to do the marketing for that. So you can analyze in that is how your evaluation can be done. The another way, then demonstrations. What is this demonstrations? Where there is an existing product are there, you can go for the demonstration. See, suppose for example, as based on your requirement, there is already one product is there. They have already come up with the one product, so it is already ready, so no need to prepare. So the demonstrations will be taken. So that company person will come to your place and is going to demonstrate how that software and how that product is going to work. So demonstrations, or else what they will do, they will give a free trial version of that product. Okay, then you can use that for a demo purpose. Okay, if you are okay with that, you are satisfied with the requirements, if you are have no problem with that particular product, then you can go for the to buy that particular product. See, suppose for example, demo in the another thing is demonstration version could be made available, which is itself down after 30 days. Yes, for example, there are many softwares which are available freely for some time. So, okay, if you download the compatible version, so it will be available as a free trial version for you as a part of a demonstration. So it is all what you can say the versions, or it is in a complex format. So you will compatible format, you cannot use all the features of that product. So that is there for 7 days or a 1 month or a 6 months. For free trial versions are available in the market. If you wanted to access that for 6 months, you can utilize. Then after that, you need to buy that product. Okay, this is how about the demonstrations or demo of that particular product. Then site visits. In case of site visits, personally you and user and his manager has to visit that particular place, and he has to analyze how it is working, what is the requirement, what we need to fulfill as a part of a user, that you need to analyze. Okay, then it comes the practical test. Okay, in the practical test, you are going to get that this thing, check with that particular product, and give all the type of input and your what is the expected output. You can analyze that product, and then after the completion only, then you can go for that particular product. So this is what the evaluation of proposal. Okay, first one is scrutiny of a proposal of a document. Okay, you need to scrutinize, okay, what are the documents provided by the supplier, whether it is genuine, okay, whether it is proper, and the amount quoted by him, and what you have discussed as a part of oral this thing, so that will be not working here. So orally conversation is not feasible, so that you have to mention in a legal agreement. Okay, that is nothing but your memorandum MOU you are going to sign with both the parties signature. Okay, that is nothing but scrutiny of the proposal document. Then interviewing a supplier's representative. There is already one product is there, then you wanted to analyze that product. In some cases that is available for the evaluation of proposal. Then demonstrations, free demo will be available. That person, you are going to get that particular software or the free version or trial version for some days. You can utilize that and you can go for the evaluation purpose. Okay, then site visits, you personally go and visit that and test how it works or not. Then practical test. So these are all the different kind of stages or the different kind of evaluation process for the proposal. Then it comes contract management. What is this contract management? So how the contract will be managed in the both the sides. Okay, what is to be mentioned, how we are going to manage that complete contract unless the work is being done and both the parties are free from that contract, how to manage that contract. So that they have mentioned some basic things over here. The first point we will discuss, we have some generalized points to regarding with this contract management. So the first point is, at certain point the customer might wish to examine the work already done and make decisions about the future direction of the project. So here what customer is expecting, up to that extent the work has been delivered or not, up to some stages, after some stages he wanted to analyze that project. Okay, the customer might wish to examine the work already done and make decisions about the future direction of the project. So here, suppose for example, if civil engineering is developing a one building, okay, for one any apartment or something, if you wish to buy the apartments, means according to your needs, like you can go for the vastu or something, like how much is the square foot you wanted to provide for the hall or something for kitchen, that you are going to analyze according to your wish, up to what extent work has been done, and you are going to analyze and you will do the future planning according to that up to some extent. Or if it is any kind of a villa, you can say any builder is developing in a villas or something, before he starts developing there is a plan with him. So according to that he has different the segments. Okay, so you can go with that plan according to your need, you can change that. Okay, or up to some extent he has developed and you wanted to change that plan according to your needs. In that case, you can go and examine how already work is done and what are the future directions that according to your needs or something. So that is how it works in case of your contract management. Then another point is, one way of identifying the decision points is to divide a large project into the different increments. Yes, this is the better way to examine. So you should not give a complete contract, or you should not give a complete this thing. So if it is very huge, you are going to divide it in a different increments, you are going to divide it in a different segments. Then you are going to evaluate it for each and every increment, what is the status. Okay, for each increment there could be an interface design phase, and customer might need to approve the design before the increment is built. Okay, for different phases, there would be an interface design need to be developed. Okay, this is how it looks like. Whenever you go to any builder, or whenever you wanted to look his plan or something. He has one demo part with his purpose. Okay, what he is doing, so he has developed one demo, what you can say, the building or something. So he will inform, okay, this is the hall, this is the bedroom, so this is the kitchen, this is how it works, this is your lobby, everything he is going to explain with that particular model. Then you are going to evaluate it. So it is better if it is a huge project in case of your software, or in any kind of a project which takes a large time or something. In that case, it is better to divide that particular project in a different increments. After the increments, there will be an interface. Customer will go through that interface after his okay, and then after his agreement, or after he agrees for that, then only a builder will move to the next increment. So that is how the design will be working. Okay. So then it comes for each decision point, the deliverables from the suppliers. The decision is to be made by the customer, and the possible outcomes is to be need to be defined. So here the customer and the supplier or the vendor will sit together, and they will decide what to be done, and based on the each deliverables, the customer and the what you can say, the customer will sit and decide what to be done. Then next point, there will be concerns about the quality of contracted work. This also is an important part. So what quality of what you can say, the product you are given in the requirement, whether he is investing money in the same kind of a product or not. So sometimes the different vendors, what they will do, so for the specific requirement, the steel should be of that particular Okay, then what bricks he is using for, then what cement quality he is using for, what is the materials he is putting for your building development or something. So everything can be keenly analyzed, then the quality can be taken care in a contracted work. Then the customer should protect their legal rights by officially notifying the supplier that failure has been identified. So here, in case of increments, see, suppose customer has find some, what you can say, the failure or some mistake, if he found, well in advance, he has to intimate to the supplier. See, suppose for example, he wanted that particular kitchen or hall in some other formats, okay, but he won't intimate well in advance to the builder or the what you can say, the civil engineer who is developing that, or the contractor. In that case, he will go with the default plan. Okay, if you are not intimating him, if you are not informing him well in advance regarding that, then he will go with the default what they have decided before. Then it is not a mistake of a supplier, it is the problem with the user or the customer only. So the customer should be very particular about his this thing. So he should not protect their legal rights. Okay, he should protect their legal rights by officially notifying the supplier that the failure has been identified. Okay, this is the problem, this is I don't want in this particular format, so you just take care of that. So then it will be legally notified to him, then he will work on it, then it will be okay. But the customer has to notify him in advance. Okay, then next comes, oral evidence is not normally admissible to contradict, add to, or weigh the terms or written contract, so that the agreed changes need to be documented. This is also an important point in case of your contract management. So oral evidence won't work. Okay, oral evidence won't work. It should be clearly mentioned in a agreement. It should be clearly mentioned in a contract, saying that okay, this is the quality, this is the quantity, this is the price quoted. So when he is going to deliver that particular product, this is the quality I am expecting, these are the input, and I am expecting this output. Everything need to be mentioned in a document. So it should not be an orally communicated thing, or oral evidence will be normally, it is not admissible in case of your contract management. Everything needs to be mentioned properly, and it's to be documented. Okay, this is all about your contract management. Okay, how customer has to behave, how the supplier has to behave, what is the nature of the contract they need to maintain, everything comes under the contract management. Then it comes acceptance. Yes, I'm done with all the part. Okay, So here requirement analysis has been done. We have called the tender, then we have evaluated that proposal, then we have signed the MOU to that particular supplier. Okay, then we have gone through the contract management, what is to be there in a contract management, how it is to be maintained from the both the parties legally, that we have gone through. Then it comes with the last part, that is acceptance. In case of acceptance, when the work has been completed, the customer needs to arrange a acceptance testing. So here, after that, the completion of the product, the customer comes up with the what you can say, the acceptance testing. So he will take that product, customer will take that product, then he will check for the, then he will do the testing for that product. So whether it is working properly in all the kinds of scenario or not. Okay, so in that he checks the configuration, he checks the settings, he checks the with the different inputs he gives. So if it works fine in all the kind of environment, then it will be accepted in under that acceptance test. Then he will say approve, and sometimes after the acceptance test, there are some what you can say, the agreement saying that first I will pay the 50% of the amount of that product. After the acceptance test only, I will release the other 50% of the, that has to be clearly mentioned in an agreement. Okay, after in this phase acceptance testing, he can release that amount if it has been already mentioned in the agreement. Okay, the contract may limit how long acceptance testing can take. See, suppose for example, any product in the market, there will be an warranty or a guarantee they are going to provide for that product. If it is completely with the defect or the default or something, okay, in that case that will be replaced within a 6 month. Okay, acceptance test has a limit. Acceptance test has a limit. So if it is not working proper, if you are buying any mobile phone or something, if it is not working properly there and then itself, or within that guarantee or warranty, before, within 6 months, if you go to that vendor or supplier, he is ready to replace that product and he will do the repair work for the free or something. But after 6 months, after that particular time duration, he won't do it for the free, or you have to go for the new product, or you have to buy that particular product. So there is an limit, or there is a time is mentioned for that acceptance test. Okay, after this, that the customer has to have to pay the some amount or something. The contract may limit how long acceptance testing can take, so the customer must organize to carry out the testing before the time limit requesting corrections or expires. Okay, so you have already taken, and the warranty for that product is 6 months or 3 months or something, for example. But after 3 months, if you went with some of the corrections to in that model, means he won't be able to do that according to his agreement. Okay, he don't wish to do that according to the agreement, because he have signed for the 3 months only. He has no issues within the 3 months, means he is done with the agreement. So this is how the acceptance test will be working in case of your contract management. Thank you.